Kia ora mai tātou, tēnā tātou katoa. Members, when we adjourned for the dinner break, we were just debating the New Zealand Flag Referendums Amendment Bill. The Honourable Trevor Mallard was speaking, and he has 6 minutes remaining to speak should he wish to avail himself of that opportunity.
That's so generous of you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
I think as I completed my speech, I was making some comments about the Greens and their approach to it, and I will go back to that. But I do want to note how the government is treating this legislation with contempt. The major promoter of the flag change did not speak once on any stage of the substantive bill when it went through the House. He has not so far spoken on this bill, and without pushing too hard at the conventions, he has not even deigned to listen to any of the speeches in this House. And I think that that is a disgrace. Mr. Speaker, we had chaos at the introduction of the bill. Jerry Brownlee, the Leader of the House, wasn't here to move the urgency motion. The member in charge of the bill, the Honourable Bill English, wasn't here to make his speech. There were no notes provided for Mr. Brownlee to speak, and frankly, the National Party approach to this has been lacking, woeful. I think is an understatement. I do want to go back to the Greens, and I want to say to the party from whom we had a combination of the high and mighty, we're between all of you and we can sort out the problems of the world, from Gareth Hughes, to an approach which I think might be best described as a pretty poor constitutional Bush lawyer approach from Kennedy Graham. I want to say to them, why weren't they straight with the House? They did a deal with the National Party not to support the yes-no vote, not to support the Labour Party on it. They are the party who pretend to be transparent, who pretend to be straightforward, but they could not stand up in the House and say, we've made an agreement with the National Party not to support the Labour Party amendments. And that, would have disagreed with them, would have been wrong, but it would have been honest and straightforward. And that's something which the Greens pride themselves in. They tell themselves that they always take that approach, but in this particular instance, the principles have fallen away to the pragmatism. Mr. Speaker, I do want to specifically address the bill. I know we will get into it at the committee stages, but I see that the member in charge of the bill is here now, and he can, if he wishes, take a call. I want to ask him why 5. Why 5 and not 6? John Key clearly prefers the rugby union silver fern flag. Why can't the Prime Minister have the intestinal fortitude to stand up for the design which he believes is the appropriate design and the one which he would like to have on the ballot paper? Why don't we have 6? And in fact, we're going to help the Prime Minister. We're going to move an amendment during the committee stages to have the ability, if the government changes its mind yet again, to have 6 options and not 5. The next question I want to ask is, who drafted this rubbish?
Probably Jerry.
Who drafted this rubbish? Mr. Speaker, we've got an explanatory note on this bill which, frankly, if it went before anyone who looked at misleading advertising, it would be found guilty to be misleading. Because what it says is it puts red peak in, or may put red peak in. Well, actually, it doesn't. All it does is increase the number of options from 5 to 4. It says that it adds another one to the ones which came from the panel. It doesn't. actually, the way the bill is drafted, you could have 5 completely different designs coming out of the Order in Council process that this bill allows. In this case, I say to the member there is an Order in Council process here. Without reverting to a previous bit of legislation, there is a difference between a ministerial statement and an Order in Council. And after the member's been here for a little time, he will understand the difference. He will understand. But I do want to get back to the essential point. The government has agreed on the basis of a petition of 40 to 50,000 to have another flag go in. They had a petition and a submission process that had far more than that of Kiwis who wanted to have a yes-no vote. And we have the unfortunate situation of a group of members of Parliament who are only here because of a yes-no vote when I think 85% of New Zealanders voted at the first ballot to move towards the MMP, and they are agreeing with the Prime Minister when the Prime Minister said it's too confusing for New Zealanders to make a decision as to whether they want to change. It's a pack of nonsense, and we will, while we will support the voting on this bill, we will put up lots of alternatives to make it better.
Sorry to interrupt the member, but his time has expired.